Night shifts have a way of changing ordinary places into something unsettling. Hallways seem longer. Shadows appear darker. Every sound carries a strange weight when most of the world is asleep. In 2018, a security guard working in an office building in the United States experienced something that would leave him disturbed for years. The building stood 12 stories high and housed several businesses. During the day, hundreds of employees filled its corridors. At night, however, the structure became a hollow shell of concrete, glass, and silence. The guard's routine rarely changed. Every hour, he checked security cameras, walked through designated floors, and ensured every entrance remained secure. On a cold autumn night, everything seemed normal until shortly after 2 a.m. While monitoring the camera feeds, he noticed movement on the 10th floor. The floor should have been completely empty. The offices had closed hours earlier. Every employee had signed out, yet one of the cameras captured what appeared to be a person walking through a corridor. The figure moved slowly. At first, the guard assumed someone had stayed late and forgotten to sign out. He zoomed in on the camera. The image quality wasn't perfect, but he could clearly make out the shape of a person. The figure turned a corner and disappeared. Following procedure, the guard took the elevator to investigate. The 10th floor greeted him with silence. He walked through every corridor. Every office door remained locked. Every conference room sat empty. There was no sign of anyone. Believing the person had somehow avoided him, he returned to the security room. The camera still showed movement. The same figure was now standing at the far end of another hallway. The guard felt a chill crawl up his spine. He immediately returned to the floor. Again, he found nothing. No person. No unlocked door. Nothing. For the next hour, the pattern continued. The cameras repeatedly captured the figure, moving through different parts of the floor. Each time the guard investigated, the hallways were empty. Eventually, he reviewed archived footage. What he discovered was even more unsettling. The same figure had appeared several times over previous weeks, always after 2 a.m., always on the 10th floor, always walking alone. Building management later checked access logs. No entries matched the times the figure appeared. No doors had opened. No elevators had stopped on the floor. Officially, there was no explanation. The guard eventually transferred to another location. Hospitals never truly sleep. Even in the quietest hours, machines hum, lights glow, and footsteps echo through endless corridors. For night shift workers, the atmosphere can feel strangely detached from reality. One hospital cleaner experienced that feeling in a way she would never forget. The incident occurred in a hospital in England during the early 2000s. Her shift began at midnight and ended shortly after sunrise. Most nights followed the same routine. She cleaned hallways, waiting rooms, and unoccupied patient rooms. The work was repetitive but peaceful. One night, shortly before 3 a.m., she received instructions to prepare a room that had recently become vacant. A patient who had spent several weeks there had passed away earlier that evening. The room needed cleaning before it could be used again. The cleaner pushed her cart down the hallway and entered the room. The bed was empty. Medical equipment stood silent. Everything appeared normal. As she worked, an uncomfortable feeling settled over her. The room felt occupied. Not physically occupied, just different. Heavy. The sensation became stronger with every passing minute. She tried to ignore it and continued cleaning. Then she noticed something strange. A heart monitor near the bed briefly activated. The screen flickered. A faint signal appeared. Then it disappeared. She assumed the machine was malfunctioning. Hospitals were filled with aging equipment. There was probably a simple explanation. She resumed her work. A few moments later, the monitor activated again. This time it stayed on longer. A rhythm appeared across the screen. A pulse. For several seconds, the machine displayed readings resembling a heartbeat. Then everything went dark. The cleaner froze. The room had no patient. No one was connected to the machine. Yet the monitor had displayed activity. Shaken, she quickly finished her task and left. The next morning, she reported the incident. Technicians examined the equipment. According to maintenance records, the machine had been disconnected from power. It should not have been capable of displaying anything. The explanation offered was an electrical fault, but the cleaner never fully accepted it. Months later, she learned something else. Several staff members had reported unusual occurrences in the same room. Lights turning on unexpectedly, equipment activating without power, a sensation of being watched. None of the incidents could be conclusively explained. The room remained in use for years afterward. Patients came and went. Life continued. Yet among some night staff, the room developed a reputation. Many disliked being alone there after midnight, especially around 3 a.m., the hour when the monitor had briefly displayed a heartbeat in an otherwise empty room. Industrial facilities can feel eerie at night. Massive machines stand like silent giants. Long corridors stretch into darkness. The sounds of engines and metal create an atmosphere unlike anywhere else. In 2015, a factory worker in Southeast Asia reported an experience that became widely discussed among employees. The factory operated 24 hours a day. Night crews handled maintenance while production slowed. The worker had spent nearly 10 years at the facility. He knew every corner of the building. He wasn't easily frightened. On a humid summer night, he was assigned to inspect a conveyor system located in an older section of the factory. The area was isolated from the main production floor. Only a handful of workers entered it during overnight hours. Shortly after 1:30 a.m., he began his inspection. The machinery was functioning normally. Nothing seemed unusual. As he walked alongside the conveyor line, he noticed someone standing at the far end of the room. The figure appeared to be wearing a maintenance uniform. Assuming it was another employee, he continued his work. Several minutes later, he looked up again. The figure had not moved. It remained perfectly still. The worker found this odd. Most employees stayed busy during shifts. Standing motionless for several minutes made little sense. He walked toward the figure. The distance between them slowly closed. Then the factory lights flickered. The interruption lasted only a second. When illumination returned, the figure was gone. The worker stopped. There was nowhere for anyone to disappear. The room had a single entrance. No side exits, no hidden doors, just machinery and concrete walls. Believing his eyes had deceived him, he resumed the inspection. A few minutes later, he heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate. The sounds echoed behind him. He turned. Nobody was there. The footsteps ceased. The worker continued moving. Again, the footsteps followed. Again, they stopped whenever he turned around. A growing sense of unease settled over him. Determined to finish the task, he continued toward the end of the conveyor line. That was when he noticed something that made his blood run cold. At the opposite end of the room stood the figure again. The same uniform. The same posture. Completely motionless. This time it appeared closer. The worker stared. For several seconds, neither moved. Then the lights flickered once more. Darkness swallowed the room. When illumination returned, the figure had vanished. The worker immediately left the area. The next day, he reviewed security footage with supervisors. What they found was disturbing. At two separate moments during the night, cameras recorded a dark shape near the conveyor system. The image quality was poor. No details could be identified. Yet something appeared briefly on the footage, something that resembled a person. Management attributed the anomaly to camera distortion. The official explanation ended there. But many employees were unconvinced, especially older workers. Several claimed similar experiences had occurred over the years. Stories circulated about unexplained sightings in the same section of the factory. Reports of footsteps in empty corridors, shadows standing near machinery, figures appearing where nobody should have been. None of the accounts could be proven. None could be fully dismissed. The factory still operates today. Machines continue running through the night. Workers continue their inspections. Most shifts pass without incident, yet some employees remain reluctant to enter that isolated section alone after midnight. Because on certain nights, when the machinery hums and the building settles into darkness, there is a lingering feeling that someone else is standing near the conveyor, watching, waiting, perfectly still.